Hey guys, this is Anastasia Autumnfire. I'm sorry if this camera angle's a little wonky. It's kind of jimmy rigged at this moment. But this is my first video for Imbolc Crafting 2017. This year, I am doing most of my Imbolc activities after Imbolc. Um, Most of that was going to be true anyway, just because it falls in the middle of the week. So a lot of things that I wanted to do, I will be at work. That's not really something I can schedule around. Um, but I had planned on doing crafting much earlier than this. For those of you that are friends with me on Facebook, I had a bit of a car accident couple days ago now. So I was planning on starting crafting on Monday and having a few days leading up to Imbolc, doing a few crafts a night. But with everything, trying to get everything figured out, plus dealing with kind of the pain that I have, I didn't really get things going. So I am starting tonight, which is, of course, Imbolc Eve. But it's good. It's okay. I'm rolling with it. Um, I am going to be doing craftings and sharing those videos, even though it is after Imbolc. Um, for me, um, I'm trying to remember. I believe I've said this in past videos. For me, when it comes to sabbats, I treat the sabbats almost as seasons. Um, what I mean by that is from Yule till Imbolc, I am kind of in that Yule spirit. I'm focusing on the lessons that Yule can teach. I have my Yule candle, and every time I do any sort of a crafting or working, I will light my Yule candle till it is no longer a thing. And I will kind of keep working through that sabbat and working with those correspondences and those herbs and candles and feels and all that jazz till the next sabbat, kind of a week or two before that next sabbat. Um, Usually it will go by my sabbat altar, which I am actually in the middle of getting a new one kind of set up and going for it, where the new moon after that, the previous sabbat, things will get switched over to the new one. But that kind of hasn't been happening lately, so it's kind of just been going sabbat to sabbat to sabbat. So, with that said, because I don't work on the sabbats just one day and then it's gone, it's done. Um, I don't see anything wrong with doing crafting even for a particular sabbat, even though it's after that sabbat, because especially with Imbolc, for me, really being about cleansing and starting to see spring and starting to awaken nature and really kind of feeling those winter energies go and embracing the spring energies. That's a process. It's not going to happen in one day. So I like the idea of having things kind of spaced out so there's a bit more to the Sabbath. Sorry for that 5-minute dissertation with you just looking at an empty bowl, but we're going to get started now. This video is going to be for my herbal blend. My herbal blend's kind of going to, it's kind of the foundation for all of my crafting. I use the herbal blend obviously for incense. I use it in my candles. I use it in my oils. If I have a specific offering for that season or Sabbath, I will include that with that. For example, one of the offerings that I'm going to be creating for my sister circle are 3 birch branches, because birch is connected to Imbolc. It is a tree that is all about rebirth, all about cleansing and renewal. So I really like using that tree for Imbolc anyway, but I believe it is also traditionally tied to Imbolc. So I'm going to take 3 branches, carve some sigils and such into them, and then rub them with, uh, probably pour some wax from my Sabbath candle onto it, and then rub the some of this herbal blend onto it. That way, it is also an offering, as well as something to help kindle our Imbolc fire, because of course, Imbolc is um, Bridget's day or Breed's day, and she is definitely about fire. So we want to get those fires going. Um, so this is really that herbal blend that is going to be the base for so many other crafts. And with that, I'm going to get started. Um, in this blend, there's going to be some items that are very traditional for Imbolc, some that I kind of associate with Imbolc, and some that are maybe not necessarily, they're much more of a personal connection. It's not necessarily something you'll find in books. The first item I have is colt's foot. And colt's foot is very sacred to Bridget, or Breed, or her name. You can pronounce it so many ways. I almost hate saying it because I'm sure I'm saying it in a way that is not quite right for some. But colt's foot, there it is very sacred to the goddess Bridget or Breed, and therefore I like using it for Imbolc. I believe it is also a traditional correspondence. For me, I really attribute it to the maiden, about happiness, joy. I do believe it connects to purification and cleansing. I could be wrong on that. I really, whenever I use it, I just feel very warm and fuzzy and joyful. Tonight when I craft this, I'm going to kind of tell you meanings behind the items I'm using, more of a personal finding, what I personally have found with them. Traditional correspondences, you can totally look them up, see what you find. I have more than enough resources to look for them, but I feel after everything this week, I'm definitely kind of feeling the more personal vibe. I'm going to try to get into that a bit more with these crafts. So for me, this is all about connecting to the maiden, connecting to the happiness, the joy, the not having to be tied down by worry, warmth, and definitely love as well. That is certainly a correspondence. What I'm doing with my fingers, I'm just kind of, because colt's foot, at least how it is here, I've got a bag, it kind of clumps a bit, not nearly as bad as like mugwort, but as you can see, it kind of is clumpy. So I'm just kind of going through my fingers and crinkling it up a little bit. It doesn't get rid of the clumps by any means, if you can see that, but it helps a little bit, kind of mixes it up. So we've got that. Next, I'm going to put lavender. Now, lavender I like to use, oddly enough, I didn't find a whole lot of traditional correspondences with lavender. I like using it because I use it so much in the cleansing washes that I make, bath salts, scrubs. If I make a floor wash of any kind, lavender is in there. It connects to the element of air. It's great for cleansing, great for tranquility and peace, which, especially in this day and age, it's in this society, I want as much peace and harmony as I can get my hands on and send that out into the universe. It also helps with love. It, for me, connects to the good folk very heavily. It actually, personal story, I don't know if I've shared this yet. It was the first herb I really ever bought with magical intent. It was at the Eye of Horus, a great little shop in Minneapolis, believe off of Lake Street. And on there, like they also have this at Enchanted Boutique, a lot of the herbs that are in bags, the top panel on the back side, like the top panel, the front will say what it is, and then the back side, if you flip it over, will say, give some of the uses. And on the big bag of lavender that I grabbed, it said an offering for the Fae, for Litha, or something along those lines. And that stuck with me. And I don't know, every time I've looked and seen what flowers are connected to good folk, it usually really isn't mentioned, but for me, it definitely connects. And Ostara is really when I bid farewell to the winter spirits and welcome the spring spirits in, but I like this kind of as a preemptive uh, welcome or warming. I don't know why it just sticks to me when I'm giving an offering for the good folk, for the fae, for the honored folk. I lavender is really where it hits home. So not only does it have all these great healing, cleansing, and love and happiness and peace and harmony and all this good juju, but it also connects to the fae in a very positive and happy way. So I want that included as well. Um, Next, I'm going to be adding some jasmine. Um, there's some jasmine blossoms. Jasmine is great for divination. Um, it is, for me, it's a huge connection to the moon. Um, my sister circle, I believe this year we are doing it actually on the full moon on the 10th, which is also a lunar eclipse that night. So, since this will be used as an offering, I want to make sure that I get some good moon juju in there. Um, it also helps with peace. It gives kind of a spiritual love. So, if I were to compare it to crystals, it's kind of the amethyst of herbs, if that makes sense. It connects to spiritual love. Not necessarily that rose quartz, unconditional, warm and fuzzy, love puppy dog, gentle. It's spiritual, more divine kind of connection to love. And I don't think that's always so warm and fuzzy. I think sometimes you have to deal with darker stuff with that. Um, and that's kind of how I view rose quartz versus amethyst. Rose quartz I see as much more loving and gentle and kind, and amethyst, hey, you might be dealing with some crap because it's going to connect spiritually, and spiritual dealings aren't always happy ones. Um, and that's kind of how I see jasmine. So, um, so we've got coltsfoot, we have lavender, we have jasmine. I'm now going to put in some rosebuds. Um, some beautiful rosebuds I have. Um, bought these the other day at Enchanted Boutique. And I really like these because although roses connect to water, they're very good for courage and strength. Um, and I wanted to specifically use kind of a deep pink, a fuchsia, if you will, because it has that red, which for me is so wonderful in Imbolc because it's the fire, it's the re-energizing of the sun. It is, it can definitely relate to blood and that kind of connection of maidenhood in a way. Um, it's one of the sacred colors of Imbolc. For me, it looks, it brings about kind of feelings of spring, but not this kind of skipping through the fields merrily kind of spring, just kind of this beautiful, oh boy, I sound nuts, but this beautiful maiden in spring, but at the same time, if she needs to, she'll smack you up the head, if that makes sense. It's not the pretty and pink kind of springtime, but instead kind of a little bit more of a fiery. That's kind of the feeling I get off of these kind of deep fuchsia or pink colors. I tell ya, I am sorry, guys. um, of course, roses connect to love. It connects to divine love. It connects to love. It connects to puppy love, lust, infatuation, all that jazz. You can really differentiate the meaning of it given the color of rose that you were using. Uh, I'm sure if people were to look up traditionally, this is probably more of a passion or lusty rose, and given the color, and I'm totally cool with that because I think that lends itself to fire, which is kind of what I was looking for. It kind of gives a balance, since roses again are kind of more seen as a water flower, a water correspondence. The fiery in the color kind of helps gives it that little balance. So there's that. That's how it's looking so far. All right. After that, I'm going to keep kind of going with that fire feeling. And I'm going to add, trying to get all of it here, some oranges. Most of this is orange peel. I do have a bit of dehydrated orange. And I'm just going to plop all of that in. It's easier. Orange again connects to love, it connects to happiness, prosperity, success. For me, my major reason for using it is to help continue to give energy and power to the sun. Imbolc for me really connects to the goddess in her maiden form. She is reborn with the spring, as is the earth that she emerges from. But I don't want to forget that the god is also gaining his power. The sun was reborn with Yule, which was just, a couple months ago. And he is still building strength. And so with this blend, I not only wanted to acknowledge her with the colt's foot and the rose and the jasmine, but I wanted to include him as well, which orange for me it is such a connection to the god and his solar phases. I don't know why that is. I know it's a solar connection, but I have met some people, and I apologize, I don't know traditionally if it is a feminine item or a masculine item. Oranges, I want to say it's masculine, but I could be 100% wrong. I always think that it's masculine because I know apples are feminine, and I think apples and oranges, they've got to be opposite. And apples, of course, are associated with water, whereas oranges are associated with fire and the sun. So, anyway, regardless, oranges are good for love, they are good for success, all good juju, all things that you kind of want the spring to bring you and nature to give you in these lighter months coming towards us. But in doing so, you're also giving an offering and giving energy to the god. Just like in Yule, you hang those pomaters of oranges and clove. It's the same feeling. You want to put in a little bit of oranges, a little bit of solar oomph to keep him fed, if that makes sense. Next, I'm going to be using some basil leaves. There we go. Basil is a great purifier, amazing for exorcism, banishment, protection. It really is a good all-rounder, if that makes sense. And yes, I am just using it off of my grocery store. There's a good amount of herbs and things that you can get at the grocery store. Even at Target, they now sell lavender in their spice section. Love it. If I'm running a little low and my shops have closed down, I'm able to run to Target and I can usually find some fun stuff. But basil. Basil is good for protection. It is good for exorcism. It is good for attracting wealth, prosperity, luck. It is also connected to the element of fire. And so again, I kind of see it as giving a little bit of oomph to that kick that the season kind of needs. We're looking for things to start warming up. We're looking for things to kind of get a little bit more heated, a bit more energy going. And basil, I think, really connects to that. Basil is also a traditional correspondence for Imbolc, according to things that I've read. Next, I'm going to add lemon peel. Now, lemons are associated with here's my lemon peel, are associated traditionally with water. They're great for cleansing. Absolutely adore them for cleansing. Now, after I'm sitting here talking about all this solar stuff and energy and all that jazz, I'm using lemon peel not only for that balance, but I also like, um, and also cleansing. I want the cleansing because that is a major theme for me with Imbolc. But I also like, this is going to sound so dorky, I like the smell. It's simple as that. I think as much as I jive and am happy with how lemon peel and lemon works with what I want this blend to do, I also just love the smell. It smells fresh, it smells clean. That's really what we want to be bringing about. We want to get rid of the stagnant energy and welcome in the new energy, get rid of the muck, get rid of the just blahs. We want good, healthy, exciting, and just energized things coming our way. So I find the lemon is really good for not only washing away the old, but adding a bit of freshness to the new. If that makes sense to anyone other than myself, that will be wonderful. Um, my next little bag of goodies, because most of these things I have in little Ziploc bags, because that's how I roll, apparently, is actually some frankincense powder. Frankincense is a resin, as you know, and it comes in big clumps. I bought this powder. There it is. There's the bag at Enchanted Boutique. I really like using this when I am running short of time, so I don't have as much time for preparation. So I can't like take my mortar and pestle and just grind out the frankincense and bang it out sometimes. Also living in an apartment, sometimes that's not a good thing to do because for me, I can grind so long and after a while I'm going to start hitting it because it's going to break apart a little easier. And people around me might not like hearing the banging. So I use a little bit of this frankincense powder instead. Frankincense is a traditional association with Imbolc. I also like it because, again, I'm focusing on cleansing, I'm focusing on purification. Frankincense is great for neutralizing energies, completely bringing you back to zero, and then all the other goodies that you put in kind of get to reprogram. So that is how this is looking so far. Very pretty, very spring-like. Smelling pretty yummy as well. The last herb, spice, flower, all that jazz ingredient that I have, another grocery store buy, ground cloves. Again, I like using ground when I can, if I don't have time or if it's getting late, because I don't want to take a chance that my neighbors get grumpy. So I'm not going to put too many cloves in there. See, I just put a little bit of a dusting because cloves aroma, very strong, very powerful, and I don't want it to overpower. Cloves are, again, just kind of this amazing thing. They are great for for energy. They kind of add a oomph to things, I find. So they kind of heighten the vibrations of the other herbs and flowers and resins and all that jazz that you're working with. They are associated with fire. And for me, they kind of, they add this warmth. They add, this is going to sound silly, but they do. They add a bit of sultriness, in my opinion. There's a little bit of a sexy quality to them, as weird as that sounds. They kind of, it's really hard to describe aside from re-energize things. They kind of get things going, they get things working. And I find, again, these are kind of personal things that I'm talking about tonight. They kind of get all the elements talking to each other and get things working. And I really want that in this blend because that is what the season is all about for me. Is getting that energy cooking. Trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to add about cloves. Cloves are also really good for protection. I believe for some reason, I want to say they're good for love. I could be wrong about that traditionally. Again, for me, I do associate them with love, kind of more the lusty and passionate side. But again, that's a personal correspondence. Um, so I'm going to give these a bit of a toss, and again, kind of going clockwise because I want to bring all this energy and cleansing action and love and warmth and light my way. Oh, that's what I was going to say about cloves because, my brain is with it. Um, in connection to kind of the passion and lusty side, why I wanted that in this blend is because although Beltane is really the lusty and sensual sabbat, for me, the god is in his young phase, the goddess is in her maiden phase. Courtship's gonna take place pretty soon. I want those passions to kind of start simmering. If you notice, I didn't use a whole heck of a lot of cloves. I'm not ready for them to, I'm not sending those energies for things to get percolating quite yet. I just want to get that simmer going. So that was kind of my other thought with cloves. And I want to say cloves. No, I don't think they are. I don't think cloves are connected to Imbolc. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me. Um, but I had it on my list as personal connection. So, yeah. So I have all the herbs and resin. Didn't really use much resin. Frankincense was more of a powder, so I don't know that counts. But we have all of our ingredients. There we go. Nice and pretty. And now to bind, I am using lilac oil. The name's kind of gotten etched off. I actually bought this at the Renaissance Fair in Minnesota this past summer from The Alchemist. I absolutely love that shop. Spent way too much money. Oh goodness, excuse me. Spent way too much money there this year, but it was worth it. Lilac oil, I love. My top 3 flowers of all time are lily of the valley, lilac, and white roses preferably, but roses. Um, when I think of spring, I think of lilacs. And while yes, we are still very much in winter, as my accident reminded me. Um, sorry. Um, I want spring to be welcomed. I want spring to come. I want to start getting those energies for the light of the year to get going. One of my favorite things about spring is actually spring cleaning. Let me explain. There is a process to spring cleaning. I hate cleaning. Cleaning is not my friend. Cleaning is not anything I look forward to. It is a pain in the tuchus. Not a friend. Or not a fan, I should say, of cleaning. With that said, I loved when I was a kid, I loved spring cleaning because spring cleaning meant the windows would get opened. This sounds so stupid, but in winter time, you can feel the energy kind of get heavy in your house. You spend so much time there, and it just kind of gets old and stagnant and blah. And then when it was time to spring clean, I remember my mom would open all the windows in the house. And this memory was really built when I was in middle school into high school. We lived in this old farmhouse, and we opened every single window in this beautiful home. Um, and we had lilac bushes all around the yard, and you would get this beautiful spring, fresh wind in through the windows, and the lilacs would be blooming, and you would get their scent carried through the house with this spring wind. That is what spring cleaning is to me. That is what I love. Now, granted, Imbolc is really a great time for spring cleaning. That's when a lot of people start their stuff. I am one of them. I like to start spring cleaning and get a lot of organization done, both spiritually and physically, so that when the light of the year comes, I can go outside and have fun and not have to worry about, oh my gosh, what does the inside of my house look like? Um, with that said, there is nothing blooming outside. There are no lilac bushes. There is no spring wind to welcome into your home and carry out all the icky, stagnant air. It is still winter, but I wanted to add lilac oil to this in honor of that memory, in honor of that connection to spring cleaning. And and revitalization of not only the physical but also the spiritual. So that is why I wanted to add the lilac oil. With that said, lilac oil is a good thing for memories. It is a good thing for beauty. It is for love. It is a flower, I believe, that connects to the fae, and I believe it also helps with wisdom. So I'm going to add. I'm just going to do 3 dots. Um, and if I feel like it needs more, I can always add more. Again, I'm trying to remember to go clockwise while I mix this up. And while I'm mixing it up, I'm thinking very heavily about those spring cleaning memories. I'm thinking about the scent of the spring wind moving all of that winter, all of that old, all of the dark out of the windows, out of the home, out into the universe to be reborn again, into summer and autumn and perhaps fall again, or perhaps winter again, but get it kind of regenerated and reborn. I am going to add, I think, just a couple more drops, which I understand is against my rule of 3, but that's kind of my other thing for this is I feel very much more led by intuition this year, or this season. It happened with the snow moon too. Everything kind of turned into meditate on what should be used and focus on what yourself is telling you. I think sometimes it's great to work. I love working with correspondences. I love traditional uses. You all know me, I'm a huge nerd about traditionally what is used and why is it used and what is the correspondence. But this spring season, or at least this Imbolc season, it has been all about what do you think you should use? What is a connection for you? Why are you doing it this way? And I find that really refreshing. So don't ever feel tied down because of correspondences. Don't ever feel tied down because of tradition. If you look at something and think, you know, it would make more sense to do it this way, dude, do it that way. That's what makes sense for you. That is what is going to connect more to you. Yeah, that is the scent I wanted. So that is how it looks. With the oil, it might bring the colors just a little bit more deeper, but otherwise it just kind of looks like spring to me. Um, yeah, that is it. So that is my Imbolc herbal blend. That's what I call it, even though there are resins, there are spices, there are flowers, all that jazz. But that is pretty much what it looks like. So I am going to let that go. I'm going to charge this up with, not a rose quartz. I'm not feeling rose quartz with this. We're going to do a clear quartz because that makes sense to me. I'm going to put in an onyx for cleansing. And I think an amethyst. I really, normally with Imbolc, I kind of go rose quartz. I go, oh, well, love and warm and fuzzy and gentle. And this year is a little bit more of a spiritual charge, a little bit more of a, hey, there's still darkness to be had. You still need to work with shadow. You still need to work with, yes, it is a love, but there's a bit of a crone energy in it. And I'm totally digging it, even though it gets complicated. But I will save you guys that information because that will take us another half hour. And I'll just leave you with that. So, yes, blessed be. Bye, guys. Oh gosh, sorry about that. Let's try that again. Okay. Bye, guys.